What's happening, everybody? I'm Jay.
And I'm Mike.
And thanks for joining us today. Welcome to our shop. This is where Mike and I spend many late nights doing what we like to do.
Knitting.
No, not knitting.
Bowling.
No, not bowling.
Hacking.
No, not hacking.
Working on cars. And as much as we wish it was our full-time job, working on cars is currently a hobby borderlining obsession. We do both work regular jobs during the day and arrive here as often as we can at night.
Furthermore, neither of us are certified mechanics, nor do we claim to be.
So while we do many projects and video tutorials, know that there is no substitute for enlisting the help of a certified mechanic or a licensed auto body shop when you do in fact need it.
That's right. And that being said, we'd like to invite you all to come and hang out with us as we begin filming tutorials, DIY projects, and other shenanigans.
This is the Midnight Mod Garage.
Welcome to the Midnight Mod Garage. Tonight, we're going to walk you through fabricating up your own flat panel side splitters.
There are tons of different ways this can be done, and there's a lot of information on the internet for using different materials to create the exact look you're looking for.
Or you can always hop on eBay and buy some ABS plastic skirts or another generic form that'll need to be cut to size, which is sort of a DIY, I suppose. But regardless, any one of these options is going to cost you somewhere between $60 and $160. So tonight, we're going to show you how it can be done for just 23 bucks.
All right, now the first step, of course, head to your local Home Depot. All right, so here we are at your local Home Depot.
So once at your local hardware store, in our case Home Depot, you're looking for the fence post section. These are polycarbonate 4x4 fence post jackets. At 8 feet long, they're really cumbersome, difficult to move. So as we try and figure out how we're going to get one in either one of our cars, I walk the thing back to the shop. And once you're back at the shop, grab the steadiest camera you've got and pretend like you know how to use it. These are the tools we're going to need laid out on the table. We've got a 90-degree ruler, tape measure, our skill saw, jigsaw, and angle grinder. Now it's not absolutely necessary to have all three kinds of these cutting tools, but I thought that with access to all three of them, it could make the cutting go as smoothly as possible and get the job done quickly. Then we're going to need an electric drill, a ratchet gun, various drill bits, and self-tapping screws. Throw in various courses of sandpaper, 120, 320, and 400, just enough to scuff the surface so that we can get paint to adhere. Now let's take a look at a length of fence post. You can see it's rather glossy here on the top, but the inside is rather wavy and uneven. You can tell that this material was once made out of liquid and poured into a mold or form of some kind. But after sanding and painting it black, none of that's going to be noticeable. Alright, now for measuring. What I'm showing you right here is how I'd already made a line at the 76.5 inch mark, which is where I measured the size of the side skirt on the IS300 to be, but with Mike's help holding the tape measure taut, we realized it was exactly 75 inches we'd actually need. And so this is me explaining why there's a black erased line about 1.5 inches from where I'm actually going to make the line and cut. So I make a bold black line that goes all the way around so that I don't confuse myself, stabbing home the point of measure twice, 3 times, 5 times before cutting. Remember, we only get one shot at this. Alright, now safety is going to be paramount for this project. We're going to have shards of plastic flying everywhere. Goggles or glasses are going to be absolutely necessary. Mechanics gloves or nitrate gloves, whatever you have available. I'm pretty sure I end up using both. Earplugs and face mask or respirator. Safety first. After having the length sorted out, I'm using the skill saw to cut directly along or just in front of the corner. Again, doing the same on the other side, we end up with 2 75-inch lengths of L-shaped plastic. Now the best way to tie these into existing aero that's on the car is to make a template of the front canards and then transfer that to the side of the new side skirts and then cut it out exactly. Close enough. And since the cardboard is white and also for the purpose of filming, I lined the templates with blue painter's tape so that it's easy to see when up against the side skirt. This creates a great deal of contrast, which makes it exceptionally easy to trace. Now for the most intricate bit, cutting the upright fins at the rear of the side skirts. An angle grinder, Dremel, or other rotary tool make this a whole lot easier than it might have been. I'm using the angle grinder to cut as straight as possible down the entire length of the plastic, leaving just a few inches at the other end where the upright fin has already been traced. Now that our side skirt's flat, it's much more of a splitter, but it's not exactly rigid. Laying it on a piece of 2x4 and clamping it down allows me to cut it nice and straight. You'll notice I use the angle grinder for the majority of the cutting on this project. And while the angle grinder is great for making good, accurate cuts, it also makes a ton of dust. So just a friendly tip, if you're ever doing something similar where you're creating a ton of small plastic shards and dust, never wear a t-shirt and shorts. When I went home this night after showering, I found myself covered in tiny white splinters. You'll notice after this day, I'm in a sweatshirt and jeans. That's right, that's my Lowe's Little Helper apron. What of it? I don't want to be covered in splinters. Here's a closer view of what it is exactly I'm trying to sand smooth. Now I'm abrasing the surface of both the top and the bottom of the side skirt. This is going to make the rubberized coating we use really adhere. Next I hit it with alcohol for a thorough cleaning, and it's ready. Next, 2 thick coats of Flex Seal being applied days apart. This stuff takes a long time to cure in this humidity. And because this stuff is self-leveling, you can practically pour it on, which is why I have painter's tape lining the table in case these have to be razored off when they're dry. Done. Now after leaving these for several days to thoroughly cure, I want to reinforce the underside, as I expect this area will get the majority of the abuse from the road. Now I'm spraying them both with a couple thick coats of an automotive grade undercoating, the same stuff found in wheel wells and truck beds to prevent rock chips and other damage. Now that they're dry and ready, I leave them for several hours in the Florida sun just to be certain that the Flex Seal isn't going to return to a gelatin in the Florida heat. Here's a quick shot of where we made cutouts for jack points at the front and rear of the side skirts. And now for mounting. First step, jack up your car. I pre-drilled evenly spaced holes down the length of both side skirts before we began mounting. Next, I remove the screw holding on the splash guard behind the front and rear tire, as they're both going to be in the way. Now use the pre-drilled holes in the side splitter to line up exactly where to drill pilot holes beside the pinch weld under the stock side skirt.
Good.
We're using Phillips head self-tapping screws to permanently fix the side splitter to the car's under chassis, about every 4 inches. Now the outer panel of the car's under chassis is not perfectly flat. There's around ½ an inch difference behind the front wheel and in front of the rear wheel. This is where our rubber spacers and washers come into play. We're sandwiching 2 of these thick rubber spacers between 2 washers to adjust for the height difference at the front and the rear. Notice the rubber spacers squish as the screw is tightened. This allows us to adjust the gap in order to keep the side splitter flat. Take a careful look at Mike's handiwork with a painful grimace before grabbing the drill and proceeding yourself. Before mounting the other side, we take careful measurements to ensure that the side splitter extends away from the car the same amount on both sides. Now, a good idea would have been to have used double-sided tape along the length of the side skirt to hold it at least loosely in place while we proceeded with the drill. And with the final screw in place, we can pull out the jack stands and lower the car.
Clear?
Yep, clear. And lower down. Now, one thing about the Flex Seal I've got to mention is that even when it's fully dry, it remains slightly tacky and picks up dust, much the way silicone tubing does. A quick shot of dish soap and water and you'd never know. Oh, they look tits. So there you have it. A few weekends of hard work and a lot of help from your best friend and another project for the books. We still have a whole lot of plans for this car, but it feels really good checking this one off the list. I'm especially proud of this build since I've been looking for the perfect side splitter for the IS300 for ages, and since I finally went ahead and made it myself, now I've got the only 2 of this exact side splitter in the world, and that is an amazing feeling.